In the pocket change of millions of Americans, quarters pass by every day, rarely given a second glance. But beneath the surface of these familiar coins lies a rich history, a narrative of craftsmanship, economy, and symbolism. Among them, the 1972 U.S. quarter dollar holds a particularly interesting place. It may look like any other quarter at first glance, but as we'll uncover today, this coin tells a deeper story about a country on the cusp of transformation and a currency adapting to changing times. The 1972 quarter is part of the Washington Quarter series, a design that was first introduced in 1932 to honor the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. The obverse, or front, of the coin features a left-facing bust of Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan. It's a stoic, almost noble portrayal of the first president, a symbol of leadership during uncertain times. On the reverse side is the heraldic eagle, wings spread, arrows in its talons, a design that had been used consistently since the coin's inception, representing the United States' military readiness and strength. By 1972, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for 40 years, but changes had recently been made, not to the design, but to the composition. Up until 1964, quarters were made from 90% silver. However, due to the rising cost of silver and a coin shortage in the early 60s, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. Beginning in 1965, quarters would no longer contain silver. Instead, they would be minted with a clad composition, layers of copper and nickel bonded together. This change significantly altered the coin's intrinsic value. It was no longer precious metal but base metal, a coin designed purely for practicality. The 1972 quarter was produced during this era of clad coinage, and it reflects the economic realities of its time. It has a copper-nickel outer layer over a pure copper core, weighing in at 5.67 grams. Its diameter is the standard 24.26 millimeters, with a reeded edge, those little grooves that are as much aesthetic as they are functional, a throwback to when reeding was used to prevent coin clipping back in the days of precious metals. 3 U.S. mints were responsible for producing the 1972 quarter: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint did not include a mint mark, so if your 1972 quarter has no letter, that's where it came from. Denver minted coins bear a small d, while San Francisco coins have an S, and those struck in San Francisco that year were made as proof coins, primarily for collectors, not for general circulation. In total, the U.S. Mint produced over 500 million 1972 quarters. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 215 million, the Denver Mint around 311 million, and the San Francisco Mint just over 3.2 million proof coins. Because of this high mintage, most 1972 quarters aren't particularly rare or valuable in circulated condition. In fact, if you've got one in your change jar right now, it's probably worth 25 cents, maybe a little more if it's in really nice shape. However, there are always exceptions in the world of numismatics, and the 1972 quarter has a few. One such exception is the 1972 D quarter with a double die error. In this variety, the design was imprinted twice during minting, creating a slight doubling effect on the lettering or numbers. These errors are often subtle and can be hard to spot without magnification, but when found, they can be worth significantly more than face value, depending on condition. A high-grade double die error from 1972 could fetch hundreds of dollars at auction, simply because of its rarity and the attention to detail it demands from collectors. Another interesting facet is the condition and grade of the coin. Quarters that have been well preserved, no scratches, full luster, minimal wear, can be worth much more than their circulated counterparts. Professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC assign grades to coins, and for 1972 quarters, anything graded MS65 or above starts to become desirable to collectors. In mint state, with sharp details and clean surfaces, a 1972 quarter transforms from ordinary change into a miniature piece of art. Let's not forget the cultural context of the era. In 1972, America was deeply involved in the Vietnam War, grappling with social upheaval, civil rights movements, and political distrust. That year saw the re-election of President Richard Nixon and the beginnings of the Watergate scandal that would eventually lead to his resignation. Inflation was rising, and economic uncertainty was becoming more visible. Against this backdrop, the quarter, once made from silver, was now an emblem of modern American currency. Durable, mass-produced, and stripped of precious metal value. For some, coins like the 1972 quarter evoke nostalgia. Memories of buying candy for a few cents, using payphones, or feeding meters. It was a time when a quarter had more purchasing power than it does today. These coins carry the fingerprints of decades, having passed through millions of hands, each with its own story. It's easy to dismiss them as everyday objects, but when we pause to look closer, they reveal a deep connection between people, history, and economy. There's also a growing interest among new collectors who want to reconnect with the tactile world of coin collecting. The 1972 quarter is a perfect starting point, accessible, affordable, yet with enough variation and detail to offer a genuine challenge. Whether it's spotting mint marks, evaluating condition, or searching for elusive errors, the journey of collecting starts with a single coin. And for many, that coin might just be a 1972 Washington quarter. So next time you get a quarter in your change, take a moment to look at it. See where it was minted. Check its date. Examine its condition. It might be just another coin, or it might be a little window into America's past. In the case of the 1972 quarter, you're holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand. Not just a coin, but a marker of transition, of everyday commerce, and of the subtle artistry that goes into the objects we so often overlook. Coins are storytellers, and the 1972 quarter has quite a story to tell, if we're willing to listen. In 1988, the United States minted hundreds of millions of quarter-dollar coins, commonly known as the Washington quarter. At first glance, the 1988 quarter might seem like just another piece of pocket change, but there's a surprising amount of history, design, and even hidden value packed into this small coin. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into everything you need to know about the 1988 US quarter dollar, its design, mintage, variations, errors, and what collectors are paying for them today. Let's start with the design. The obverse, or front, of the 1988 quarter features the left-facing portrait of George Washington. This design has been in use since 1932 and was created by sculptor John Flanagan. The word Liberty is inscribed above Washington's head, while In God We Trust sits just to the left. Below Washington is the mint year, 1988. On the reverse side, you'll find a majestic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, flanked by olive branches. This symbolizes both strength and peace. Above the eagle is the phrase, United States of America, and the Latin motto, E Pluribus Unum. The denomination, quarter dollar, is inscribed below. The 1988 Washington quarter was produced at 3 U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins minted in Philadelphia bear no mint mark and had a mintage of over 562 million. Denver coins carry a D mint mark and had an even higher mintage, over 596 million. San Francisco, known for producing proof coins, struck about 3.2 million 1988 S proof quarters, made for collectors and included in special proof sets. These proof coins are made with highly polished dies and specially treated blanks to give them a mirror-like finish. They're not meant for circulation and are usually stored safely in protective cases. In terms of metal composition, the 1988 quarter is made of a cupronickel clad, meaning it's a sandwich of 75% copper and 25% nickel on the outer layers, with a pure copper core. This makes the coin weigh about 5.67 grams. It measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter and is 1.75 millimeters thick, with a reeded edge that contains 119 reeds. Now let's talk about condition and grading. Like most modern circulating coins, 1988 quarters are usually found in heavily worn condition. However, those that have been well preserved, especially uncirculated examples graded MS, 65 or higher by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC, can bring in a premium. MS, or mint state, grading starts at 60 and goes up to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin. An MS 65 1988, P or 1988, D quarter might fetch $5 to $20 depending on market demand and I appeal. But in pristine MS 67 condition or above, values can jump into the hundreds. Error coins are one of the most fascinating areas for collectors, and the 1988 quarter has its share. Some of the most notable error types include off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, double dies, where parts of the coin's design appear doubled, and clip planchets, where a portion of the coin appears to be cut off. Another collectible anomaly is the so-called spitting eagle error, where a die crack appears to show something protruding from the eagle's beak. These kinds of oddities are usually rare and can sell for $50, $100, or even more, depending on severity and interest from collectors. Another factor that plays into value is provenance. Quarters taken directly from U.S. mint sets, for example, tend to be of higher quality than coins found in pocket change. Collectors often pay more for coins with full, sharp details, especially in the eagle's feathers or Washington's hair. Eye appeal, luster, and strike strength can make a big difference in price. Although the 1988 quarter doesn't contain any silver, it's not a silver coin. It still holds historical and educational value. Many people collect these coins as part of a complete Washington quarter set, which spans from 1932 to 1998, before the 50-state quarters program began in 1999. The 1988 coin represents a time in U.S. numismatic history when the mint was pushing out billions of coins annually, with high production values but little variety in design. If you're wondering whether your 1988 quarter is worth more than 25 cents, the answer usually depends on condition, errors, and collector interest. A standard circulated quarter from 1988 is generally worth face value. However, if you have a pristine example, a rare error, or a proof version, you might be holding something a lot more valuable. For anyone looking to get into coin collecting, the 1988 quarter is a great starting point. It's affordable, easy to find, and a gateway into the broader world of numismatics. Whether you find one in change or pick one up from a dealer, examining it under a magnifying glass can reveal subtle design details and maybe even uncover a rare error. Even in an age of digital money and cashless payments, coins like the 1988 quarter continue to fascinate collectors and history buffs alike. They're tiny time capsules that reflect both artistic design and national identity. So the next time you come across a 1988 Washington quarter, take a moment to look a little closer. You might be surprised by what you find. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful or interesting, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content on U.S. coins, coin collecting tips, and fascinating stories from American numismatic history.